our conversation for today is all about affordable housing. And as we started saying that we are here at the new Boma Yangu estate, people like Mwalimu Staki Mapepe, who is in Thika, who I'm sure there are affordable houses in Thika, but has not, been engaged with them, is like, I just know these people are eating my money, and I'm just seeing houses.
Naina
nyuma sana. I don't get it. The acting CEO of the Affordable Housing Board, Sheila Waweru, is our guest. Sheila, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning to you all.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for hosting me.
Anyway, we'll talk about that. As we get into this conversation about affordable housing, we have to understand about the board and the structure of the board, and then also come into the many units that are there. And you'll tell us finally about this particular Boma Yangu estate and what's going on here. We'll have a baraza, which we hope to have other people joining us for that one. First, Janet is going to give you the day's quote.
Yeah, today's quote is in honor of Human Rights Day, the 10th of December. He was a Haitian democracy activist and journalist. His name was Jean Dominique. And he once said, you cannot kill the truth, you cannot kill justice, and you cannot kill what we are fighting for. What do you make of that?
When I think about that and what we are fighting for as the Affordable Housing Board under this program is the right to housing, which is a right under our Constitution, Article 43(1)(b), whereby each Kenyan should be having access to affordable, adequate housing with proper sanitation facilities, access wherever they are. So for us, that is what I'd say we are fighting for.
Okay.
Yes.
I think I want to start with that because there's somebody who asked affordable. What is affordable? Affordable to who, when, and how, right? What is an affordable housing unit?
In our perspective, affordable means that a house that is adequate, has proper sanitation facilities, is of adequate space, and well served with various utilities and services, and it does not cost you more than 30% of your income per month. So that is what affordable is.
Over how long? 30% of your income?
On a month.
Over how long? Like to pay for?
No, it should not.
You're renting.
Your
Whatever
housing,
you're earning per month should not cost
your
more than
rent.
30%.
So I'm thinking,
Yeah.
if I'm buying, I'm spending 25, 28, 15% of my income for how long? Is there a time frame?
Oh, I think the thing is how much you spend on a monthly basis. How much are you spending for food?
Okay.
How much are you spending for your clothing? How much are you spending for shelter? That shelter should not exceed 30% of your income.
Yes.
Whether it's
Whichever
rent
month.
or you're renting
Okay,
to
in
own.
whichever month. Okay. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
That's what you mean.
That's what
So
I
the
mean.
affordability here is the 30%,
Yes,
not more than
30%
of income
Yes.
going into that.
Yes.
But then a house, you're saying a house is this thing that has all these.
It has to be adequate. You can be spending
adequate
that
space and
30%. It doesn't have power, doesn't have water, doesn't have schools nearby, a health facility. It should be comfortable, well served. You're having all the facilities that you need, social, and it also has the physical infrastructure for you to live comfortably within that 30%.
Okay.
Yes.
Sheila, people have been asking, nani ana nyumba? That's the
Yes.
when people say, oh, affordable housing, people like, nani ana nyumba?
Nani alisema nataka nyumba?
Nani ana kwao?
And why is it on all of us to ensure that the program is successful?
That statement, it has played over and over, especially on media. But you can be having a house, but as I'm saying, is it adequate? Is it yours? Because the reason why most people are renting in Kenya, and that is the situation, not many people own their own homes. Many are renting. But it's because land is expensive, building is expensive. So the easiest way for you to get shelter is for you to rent out a house. But with this program, our main aim is to ensure that, one, as many Kenyans as possible are owning their own homes. We want to move mortgages from 30,000 to 1 million over the next 5 years. Normally Kenyans have been, they are sort of afraid of mortgages. I think it's the aspect of feeling tied for too long. The second thing is that quite a number of them can't access these mortgages even if they want. The interest rates are quite high. The tenure is short, is about maybe 15 years if you get a good a good tenure could be 12, 13 years. The interest rates are 15, 18%, and so on. You need to either have some collateral or you're on a pay slip or something of that. So accessibility to mortgages is also an issue. So with this program one, we are ensuring we get quality housing. We're ensuring you can be able to afford these houses, because like now we're in Nakuru. We have studio units that we have over 1,000 people who are living in. They're paying 3,900 Kenya shillings per month. That 3,900 Kenya shillings has the mortgage amount, it has service charge in it, and it has mortgage insurance in it. Within that 3,900. New Mukuru Estate is within Enterprise Road A. So basically you're just next to CBD. You can walk to where you're working. If someone was to buy a studio unit built by the private sector here, you'd probably be spending 5-7 million. But for you to buy it, to have fully paid for this particular studio unit, and only paying 640,000 Kenya shillings in totality. So you can imagine getting such an opportunity to be able to own a home in the middle of Nairobi. Then we give you very comfortable terms for you to be able to pay for this house. You can either pay it outright, cash purchase, you pay it off once. You can approach a financial institution to give you home financing at affordable, very affordable rates. The studio units are at 3% per annum, and the tenure is 30 years. There is nowhere in this Kenya that you'll be able to get a house within those terms. Yes.
We'll get into the specifics around the units, the amenities and all. Just to take us back, and I know you've answered this before. I think I've seen you attempt to answer this question in the media, which is the status of the completed units vis-a-vis what was envisioned. For instance, how many are now completed and handed over? Is it 1,400?
No, right now we have completed, handed over, occupied 3,800.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
across
above that.
This is from this administration.
Yes.
Okay. Across which areas?
We have Coast, we have Buxton, we have Kakamega, we have Elbagon, we have this Mukuru, we have Machakos. Yes.
And this is against which target?
The target is 250,000. Okay, that's the gap. 250,000 units housing gap per year. So the government seeks in to provide 200,000 units per year, because private sector comes in with the 50,000 per year. So for us, it's 200,000 units per year.
Is it time to rethink the expectation, or do you still feel like you're on track? Because many argue it doesn't seem like it's on track, and then that kind of brings in a lot of questions about the sustainability, whether there's any way to trust this project. Is it time to review those, or are you saying no, we don't review, we just keep moving?
I feel we are on track. Initially, I know that has been the target for quite some time, and probably what you have heard, or my attempts also to explain why the deficit over the previous years was the financing for housing previously. So previously, this program, when it began all the way back in 2018, was being financed under Exchequer, and you know, all government initiatives, programs, all dig into the Exchequer to be able to finance themselves. So that was the same case. So with that financing, it was impossible to actually do 200,000 units per year. And that's why actually the levy came in, the housing levy, with the Affordable Housing Act when it was enacted in 2024, March. So with that and the establishment of the levy, now we do have financing to be able to carry out construction across the country. Of course, as we sell the houses, we also have income from the sales. At the same time, we are going to securitize this particular, the housing fund, and very many other sources of income that are coming in. We are also right now also incentivizing and seeking support from the private sector to also come in and put in housing with their own financing, because the Affordable Housing Fund is also an off-take fund. We are able to have you build, bringing in your finance, sell. We are able to purchase those houses, whatever you have not sold off, and pay you as long as we have an agreement whereby we can be able to pay for that particular project slowly over time. And you know, now with the number of units going on and the kind of construction, the scale that we have, of course, we've created a lot of interest, even with investors, and a lot of confidence, because now they're seeing there's proof of concept. you know. So right now it's sustainable because now it's not fully dependent on exchequer like it was before. So it's not time to actually review. It's actually time to meet those targets that we've had over time.
Can inflation erode affordability over time, just in terms of material costs, etc.? Is there a danger because that could then interrupt the so-called affordability of the housing?
For us, in terms of the contracts that are being issued for construction, inflation is built into it for 2 years, and the projects are constructed over 24 months. So that is not really an issue for us. Yeah.
Okay. I wanted to get the number for the ones that were completed. I think it escaped me. It was how many?
3,800, I think, and 31 or thereabouts, slightly above.
Okay, and the ones handed over are 1,000 and...
No, those are the ones that are fully completed and occupied.
And occupied,
yes, including this Mukuru.
Including Mukuru.
Yes.
And then you gave us the other regions.
Yes. We're anticipating over the course of this December that the President will be handing over phase 2 of units. The ones that you're seeing right behind us, the painted ones, those are 4,536 units.
4,000?
Over the next, over this December. 536.
Okay, units over December.
Yes.
Still seeing quite a big discrepancy. I get the, the funding issue, money coming from the exchequer. Yeah, it's tricky. It's here and there. So I still see, there's a lot of room to make up for to achieve 200,000 units a year. Realistically, how much actually is the affordable housing levy collecting vis-a-vis the targets, and how do you plan to plug the shortfalls? I know you talked about securitization, of course the money coming in from the sales. Let's talk about the financing model. So how much is the levy collecting vis-a-vis the targets to be able to get these 200,000 units a year?
Okay, with the levy right now we're collecting about 6.5 B per month. And of course, that is not adequate to actually do 200,000 units per year, considering that an average of a unit, we have studios all the way to 3 bedrooms. So on average, if you look across those typologies, is about 2 million per unit. So it is not adequate as it is, and that's why we are planning to go to the market over next year to be able to increase financing for these houses, and also working with private sector who also bring in their own monies to be able for us to offtake their units way later. So right now it's the levy, but of course we're looking to expanding that. And the affordable housing fund. What
would be the target for collection, if or per month? Yeah, let me even go yearly. How much would the board need per year to build those 200,000 units?
200,000 by 2 million. You can imagine. That's about, is it 40
something billion? Yes.
Billion.
Okay.
Yes.
So there's again
400. It's 400 billion. Yes. Because they're collecting about maybe like 75 to 100 B per year. So that's 400.
So again, that's a big gap between the 75 being collected and the 440 needed to construct these houses. Securitization, is that going to be enough to plug this huge gap?
I need also to make some clarity, because when you talk about the 400 billion, when you talk about 200,000 units, we're not saying that they are all completed. Remember, these projects are multi-year. So each project is taking about 2 years to 3 years. So what you need is that like currently we have about 239,000 units which are already ongoing. So you can see even within our first year, basically we are within target, and we anticipate to have about 20,000 units completed in addition to what we have. So a total of about 25,000 for this financial year. So when you look at it in terms of that these are multi-year projects, the gap is not so huge. There is a gap, but it is not so huge.
So then if I divided it even conservatively by 3 years, you'd need 100 and something billion a year. So then that leaves you with a shortfall of maybe 20-30 billion. I'll get back into the securitization question and into the financing, but I was telling Eric and Janet earlier, I took a cab here, and when he saw that it was an affordable unit housing, he's like, ni affordable, ebuchukua namba yangu. Like, basically, unibukie, wapatie, unibukie nyumba.
Yes.
And I was like,
his number.
I do have his number.
But
I asked the next question, I was like, uko Boma yangu? He's like, iyo ni nini? And that tells me that watu hawajui bado exactly how affordable housing works. So walk me through. I am an aspiring home owner. Yeah, I can afford that 4,000 shillings a month. Realistically, in the market, that's I may not get what I'm looking for, right? Within that 4,000 shillings a month. How do I get a home on Boma yangu?
You can do that after the break. Actually, it's break time. It's 27 minutes after 7. We'd like to take a quick break, and then come back and look at this entire affordable housing journey. Where the new Mukuru Boma yangu estate. How many units here, Sheila, again?
in total, we'll have 13,200 and I think 46 in total. That includes studio units, 1 beds and 2 beds.
13,000 units under construction in this particular area.
Yes.
Already, some people are living in, about 1,000 units already occupied. Sheila is telling us 4,536 units to be released in this month of December.
Yes.
To new homeowners. Let's ask all those questions. We are here until 10 a.m. So if you've got a question, just jump onto our social media on on X, on Facebook, on YouTube, and you can ask NTV Kenya. You can basically ask us a question. You can also guest to us on our WhatsApp number
0112-500-400 0112-500-400.
Let's take a break. We'll be back shortly.
Absolutely. We're just getting back into conversation with Susan Waweru in a moment. A bit of feedback from you. Sorry? Susan. Sheila. My apologies. Nibaridi.
Subuhi, by the way, it was warming up and then all of a sudden.
Apologies for that. Ivan Kibet, hello fixers. Please ask how long it would take for one to own a home, because I know of someone who has taken almost 6 months after applying. Somebody else here is saying, please ask Sheila about the deductions of affordable housing from payslips. Will those remitting monthly be entitled to a house later, or what is the end game for a regular payer? The other one here from Stan Stevo, please be clear, because you're saying that there's a fact checking that needs to happen. You can be clear about what that means so that we can come back here and fact check for you. Oh, Pole. After saying shame on you.
Yes.
Okay. Shame on you, MTV. Shame on you, MTV.
Okay.
You appear for an interview on matters of fact, and you can't employ the minimum effort to fact check assertions. It was impromptu. Yes, is what I'm saying.
Which facts do you want checked?
So that you don't also just say things. But I know Mariam had asked and Eric about the journey, but I don't know whether you can quickly respond to some of these questions.
I think a lot of them actually do speak into
the journey.
how to own a home. Yes.
There's a direct question. Maybe you can use that to respond.
Okay.
Ivan Kibet says, hello fixers, please ask Sheila how long it will take for one to own a home. This is because I know of someone who has taken almost 6 months after applying.
Okay. So I'll be able to respond to that as I give the home ownership journey. So under the affordable housing program, there are 3 categories of housing. So there is what we call social housing for persons earning below 20,000 Kenya shillings per month. That's gross income. Affordable housing between 20,000 and 149,000, and then above 149,000, that's affordable middle class or market. And each project or each site has those 3 categories to ensure that you have access, irrespective of what you're earning. You have the opportunity to own a home in a location of your choice. So what happens, you go to www.bomayangu.go.ke. Bomayangu is a platform where all the action happens when it comes to home ownership. You register with 200 bob, and 200 bob goes into your savings. So it's not money that disappears or goes to the government. It's your first seed money towards saving for your home. You provide information regarding yourself, normal ID, your income status, and so on. You'll be well guided through the portal. and then you're supposed to raise 5% deposit for the houses. For social housing category, persons or applicants within that category can apply for what you call deposit assistance. That means they don't have to raise the 5% deposit. They will pay the full 100% over time. For the other categories, there is 5% deposit. And there are three ways of owning this home. I said either through outright cash purchase. You purchase the house on cash basis or at a go. There is home financing, affordable home financing at 3%, 6%, and 9% for the three categories. And then there is what we call tenant purchase scheme. Tenant purchase scheme allows you to raise your 5% deposit, and then the balance of the cost of the house you pay over 30 years maximum. You can pay during a shorter period of time. You're not penalized for that. And then once you do that, you've raised your 5% deposit, then you make an application for the home, still on Boma Yangu website. Therefore, there's an application form that, of course, guides you on all the data and information that you're supposed to fill. For eligibility, first you have to be a Kenyan, of course, 18 years. You must have an ID. You must have a KRA PIN and tax compliance, a valid tax compliance certificate from KRA. You're also required to attach passport photos and proof of income. Your proof of income can be pay slip, can be your bank statement, a SACCO statement, an M-Pesa statement for 6 months, a certified statement. So that enables us to just double check and verify and ensure that you're actually applying for a unit within your income category, because you don't want someone from a different income category coming to compete with others, maybe in a different, maybe a lower income category, and probably that's the only opportunity for a housing they can afford. You know, maybe you're earning 150, you can actually afford 150, but you're coming to compete for a social housing unit. So then once you do that, you download, of course on the portal it will show you that your application form is completed. You're supposed to download it. You tick your consent that yes, whatever information you've provided is accurate, and you allow us to use it for assessment. And you sign the form and you upload it back onto the system. And you can do this on your gadgets, your laptop, your phone. You can visit a Huduma center near you to guide you. You can visit, we also have realtors on the portal. You'll be able to see the realtors we've been able to engage. You can approach one of them for whatever project that you like, and they can also be able to guide you through that particular process. Then once that is done, of course, the application forms are submitted to the board online. We are able to assess the forms, working together with our bank or financial partners, and then from there we get to communicate to you. So you can get either of three messages. One, you're successful, congratulations, we're able to send you an offer letter, still online, you're able to accept it and send it back to us online. You can get a message through your normal message telling you that your application form needs some corrections. You could have applied in the wrong category. You declared one income, but your proof of income shows something different, and therefore you need to apply in the correct income category. You could have attached a document that is not legible, you know, that kind of a correction. So then you come back to the portal, make your correction, then we are able to assess. You could also get a message telling you that unfortunately you've not been successful to get a house, and telling you the reason why. And initially we were doing allocations for only completed projects, but right now and over time we've noticed there's a lot of interest even for projects which are not complete based on where they're located. People want to book early. You're finding a project is at 20%, it's fully booked and so on. So we opened it up to selling both completed and ongoing projects. And because of that, we did have some bit of backlog, and that's why probably that guy, his application has taken some time when we made the switch over from completed to now having selling off plan. Okay. And we are right now resolving that problem, because you should be getting your message or your feedback on your application within a month. So from, I believe right now we are almost done with that backlog. So from January, within a month, you should be getting feedback. And you're also welcome to visit as we've talked about, our realtors across the various project sites. They are physically available. They have set up offices at each of the sites, both ongoing and completed, and you're also able to reach us through our emails, official emails. Yes.
If we go to the website, sorry. If we go to the website, I can see from the website, I go into projects. I see the various projects: Kisumu, Samburu, Maralal, Kwale, Matuga, Laikipia, Nyahururu, Wasingishu, Eldoret, Suswa Estate. With some of them have photos of, and others have just visuals of what the plan looks like.
Okay.
But you said there are 239 units that are currently under construction. Of these 239, how many have been allocated already? How many have had applicants and are already been assigned to homeowners?
So you'll find that because of selling off plan, all those you'll find either one applicant per project. There are some, especially the ones that are above 20% of completion. So right now people are applying for those. We had higher higher percentage of applications for the projects that are complete, and those ones we have allocated them. But now we have a few applicants for these ongoing projects, all the way from 20%. We opened it up for projects as long as they've hit or they've broken ground, then you can apply for them.
Okay.
Yes.
What's the process of allocation? Is it first come, first serve, or do you look at this one? Is the range between 20,000 and 149? It's closer to 149, so let's do the first
Okay. So in terms of allocation process, first there is for some of the projects like this Mukuru project, you find that when it was set up, it's also an initiative to try and eradicate the Mukuru slum. So for some of these projects, you have people who have been enumerated in sites where we have we are putting down those shelters or informal settlements so that you can be able to build there. So you go and enumerate persons from that, and that they're given first priority for some time to apply for certain projects like this Mukuru. We had opened it up for an entire 6 months. But then after that, everyone, in terms of the application process, it is the same. In terms of allocation, it is first come, first serve. But of course, we have to verify the data that you've been able to apply. We look at issues of considerations on aspects, special considerations on aspects like PWDs. You also give them priority, and where you also are assigning them houses. We look at issues of applying within the correct income category, as I've mentioned, your ability to pay for the house, because of course the houses are not free. We are selling so that we can enrich the basket and continue building. So we assess that the 30%, are you able to pay for this house? And for the period on which you're taking, or the tenure for the repayment. We look at issues of as I've said, first come, first serve. We don't want somebody probably who is capable and has all the money, comes in and puts in the total 5% today, yet me who's mkulima mdogo, I've been putting in kidogo monies to raise my 5% over 1 year. So all those are considerations. But at the end of it all is that who's eligible, who is qualified, but who came first.
Okay.
Yes.
So if I'm, for example, in the band, let's take 20,000 to 149,000. If I earn 25, someone else earns 145, it's not more likely that the 145 person will get allocation faster.
No. You're in the same category, so you have equal opportunity within your category.
Okay.
Yes.
Then for someone who has a stable income as well, because you've talked about the ability to pay. So I am a hustler, gig here, gig there, content creator, 25 this month, 50 the next month, 180 the next, who knows. There's someone who, Anadra, at the end of every month, I'm getting 80,000 shillings. Again, is that a factor?
No, you're within the same category. So what happens, and that's why we ask for 6-month statements, is to be able to sort of just accommodate people who either have stable income or those lumpy incomes over different periods of time. So as long as I can see that within that time your average is able to pay for that house, then you're good.
Okay.
Yes.
We'll talk about what happens in the eventuality, or in the case of default. But there was a question here that was talking about the tax compliance certificate being a prerequisite for owning a house.
Yes.
And Kengeno, PhD, on Twitter, is saying public universities have consistently failed to remit statutory deductions like payee to KRA. As a direct consequence, a substantial university cohort of university employees are unable to obtain valid tax compliance certificates from KRA. A TCC remains a mandatory requirement in affordable housing. Address this matter.
Okay. Yes, a TCC, a valid TCC is a requirement, and that's actually within the Act, Affordable Housing Act. It is one of the eligibility requirements, so it is mandatory. And for public entities, I know there is quite a number that probably are able to deduct but don't actually remit. We are aware of that. But what I'd advise him is he goes and sees his tax representative from the station, his tax station. They are able to verify and see that, yes, you're from a government institution. They're able to verify that the tax has not been remitted, and because it is not your fault, they are able to assist you to get a tax compliance certificate. And that's advice we have given to various civil servants and other agencies where you find that it is not your fault, it's not you who's not remitting. So that should not be an issue where you're penalized.
Yes. I can see how it would work for civil servants, but for people in the private sector, we also have that, same issue. Payee is remitted from your payslip. You see it never got to KRA. And I can see even as you go to KRA, government to government, as a civil servant, it's very easy to say, I need a tax compliance certificate. But from the private sector, Tambiwa, you owe me this much. Hata umejileta, ni vizuri umejileta. Let's deal with you.
Yeah. I know there are those challenges. I also faced it within one of my first initial jobs, and I only came to find out way later, because
when you're looking for the tax compliance.
Yes, when you're looking for the tax compliance. So for that one, of course, somebody will have to pursue with the employer. For government, it is easier because we know it is delayed, but definitely will be paid. So there is that trust within government. But for private, you really have to address it with your employer.
That sounds like it's going to, the tax compliance certificate might lock out a lot of
people. Yeah.
Actually, we've not had that experience.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, you're saying you've not had that experience?
Interesting.
In terms of many people have challenges. If you can imagine, when we first opened up this particular project and I said we did give first priority to the enumerated, and therefore applications were only restricted to the enumerated initially. And you imagine most of them are in the informal sector. They don't have PINs, they don't have TCCs, and we guided them, and they all applied because it is mandatory. It is under the Act. So you can imagine every single person who's living here or who has applied has that TCC. So it's not quite a number because it's something that is resolvable and you can actually get the TCC.
I think it's also a conversation to have with the KRA on not being penalized for not remitting statutory deductions when essentially it's not your work. It's not your work. So just before we go, Latif, there was the question of now, for example, here at New Mukuru, you said first priority was given to those who are enumerated. Well, those are the people who lived here before these developments came up?
Not actually here, but within the Mukuru informal settlement, because we want to put up projects, developments there. So we had identified certain areas which are government land, but they did have people living in them. So once identified, they're enumerated, they're given special numbers. So you identify, they enumerate the tenants, the structure owners, and business owners, so that by the time you're coming to give first priority, then you don't have outsiders taking advantage. So they were from that area, but they have come here. So for us to clear space for us to develop within Mukuru.
Okay.
Yes.
So were there people living here?
No, this land is government land.
Okay.
It's actually land for a public entity. So, and all our projects are actually built on national government or county government land. So we identify land because, and the reason why we do that is to ensure that we're not putting the cost of the land as part of the cost of the house, and that's how we ensure affordability. So this was government land, it was vacant. We managed to get it for affordable housing and undertook the construction.
I don't know if I'm imagining that there was somewhere where people had to be relocated to give way for affordable housing units.
The railway pension scheme.
Yes.
It was owned by the railway pension scheme.
Yes.
I want to, because you've talked about the ownership. This is a question that has been there in the public domain for a while. So this is public land.
Yes.
When a tenant takes one of these 3,800 units that have been handed over, what do they get?
So what we are doing, and that is across board for all our projects, we are processing sectional titles. As I've mentioned, this being government land, most times you'll find that some of them have titles, some don't have titles. They are known they're government land. But now, because they've been taken up for affordable housing, we're ensuring proper processing of documentation all the way to titles. And then the ones that have, or the ones that will be processed, are transferred to the board. Then the board, in line with the Sectional Properties Act, processes sectional titles, so that when you get your house, you're getting a house with your name, a title within your name. Okay. So, and it gives you, of course, ownership of your specific unit. And later on, of course, still within the Sectional Properties Act, and when it comes to management of the estates, is when you get to about 50% of occupation, then you open up a management company where everybody has a share for even the common areas. Yes.
So basically transferring public land to private land now. Right? And this has been the question. So how do you respond to that? That this is land grab. You're taking public land and then you're giving it to individuals to own that particular piece of land. Because thereafter, this entire parcel of land will be owned by the owners of these homes.
Yes. It's not, that is a misconception, because remember, government carries out development for its people. So when you're looking at this, you are providing, as much as yes, it will be private ownership, you are providing housing for your people. And there are processes that have been outlined there in law for transfer of land from public to private, as long as NLC is involved. And this, in terms of the process I was talking about, in terms of titling, we are working with the State Department for Lands, we are working with the National Lands Commission, the county governments, because part of the land we have is land given by the various counties, and of course ourselves as the board and the various agencies that have also donated land for affordable housing.
There's a quick comment here that I saw earlier. Mexico ran similar programs between 2001 and 2012. Today, most of these houses are vacant. Others were taken over by gangs. That's come up about 2 or 3 times. So I think just the sustainability outlook, people are nervous. And he actually says, I sit and wait to see how the Kenyan ones will fare. Has that come to mind? How are you looking at 5-10 years from now to make sure that there's still a sense of ownership, that it's just not left and then turns into something else?
We have looked at that, and even in the development of the conceptualization of this program and even implementation, we've really looked at other countries that have done this and are doing this, including Mexico, South Africa, Egypt, and so on. And remember, we are not building houses for them to be just given. Someone is buying. So at the end of it, you'll imagine this Mukuru, AHB will not be there. State Department for Housing will not be there. They'll be fully owned by people. So in that case, you don't expect that you'll have cases where by then they just become shacks, or, areas where they just have dens or gangs within those areas. Because now, by that time, like now, this particular Mukuru estate, it will be fully individuals. So no one, of course, will be, you have paid for a house fully. So how is it that you let go of your house? And imagine this entire estate will be owned fully by Kenyans. It will not be government. It's not rental property. It fully moves to individuals. Yeah.
Let's delve much deeper into that after this break. It's coming up to 8 a.m. We're hosting Sheila Waweru, who is the acting CEO of the Affordable Housing Board. We are at the new Mukuru Boma Yangu estate, and the camera will be panning over to just show you what's happening in this area. You can see the homes, the houses coming up. How many blocks are these, Sheila? These are many, Bana.
There are many blocks there. I think total of 88 blocks.
88 blocks.
88 blocks.
10, 11 floors each. 11,000 housing.
13,200. Yes.
In this one area, new Mukuru Boma Yangu estate. We'll continue some of the questions that you're posting, so we'll share them with Sheila after we come back from this break. We're fixing the nation one conversation at a time. Mike kwa ground. Anyway, we're having continue our conversation with Sheila Waweru, the acting CEO of the Affordable Housing Board. We're talking about the affordable housing. We are at the new Boma Yangu Mukuru. It's called the new Mukuru Boma Yangu estate, right? So it's important where you place the words. New Mukuru Boma Yangu estate, where we have 13,000 units coming up. 1,000 have already been handed over to homeowners. The CEO is promising that some 4,536 units are going to be released in December. You know, we had a similar promise from your CS in March. It took like 90 days from the date that she had promised. So I took out December. Today is the 10th.
You can take it to the bank.
Okay.
Yes.
We can take it to the bank.
Before
and
Christmas.
Some 4,536 units will be released before Christmas is only next week. So next week.
Yes.
And that's on record.
Yes.
Yeah.
Next week. There are several questions that we'd like, and I know you'll be leaving us. We'll be joined by the PS, Charles Hinga, plus we'll have a baraza with some of the people who live here now, those who have worked here, those who have gotten employment in this particular project, just to get their experience. But one of the questions that keeps arising is this distinction between tax levy, deposit, and so on and so forth. You tell me, when I go into Boma Yangu, I will pay 200 bob, that's registration fee, then I'm expected to pay a deposit. Okay? Now, I know every month I've been paying some money. Is that money going towards my deposit or not, Sheila?
And before I answer that, yes, we are releasing this month 4,536 units, and we still have a few. All those are studio units. We still have a few remaining, so I'm also urging Kenyans take this opportunity over this week. Make an application for a studio unit. It's 20 square meters. The cost is 640,000 Kenya shillings, and you can be able to raise a deposit or apply for deposit assistance and pay for the remaining amount over 30 years at 3,900 per month. Back to your question, Latif, on the issue of tax on the levy versus your contributions to your house. So the 200 that you register with and all other savings you put into your Boma Yangu account, those are contributions to your house. But the money that is deducted from your payslip or that you pay to the housing levy, that is a levy, it's a tax. So that is not an individual contribution to your house. That is tax for the common good, because that is what is helping us put up all these units. But now what you put in, starting from that 200 Kenya shillings to your 5% deposit, that now is your individual contribution to your house.
Okay.
Yes.
So the money that is deducted from my salary has no bearing at all to the type of house I'll get or whether I'll get a house. There's no guarantee that because I've been paying, I'll get a house.
Correct.
There's no guarantee that because I've been paying for the last 10 years, then I get first dibs on a new project.
No, it's a tax just the same way we have a fuel levy to help us do roads, levy that helps us helps us in terms of raising funds that goes to building schools, medical facilities, provision of various services and amenities. So it's a tax for public good. Yes.
I want to look at the national scale. Some counties don't have projects, some have few. What's the, how do you compare or know this is what this county needs? This one, we're not going to it right now. How do you draw those comparisons to prioritize which counties need affordable housing most?
So as we started, of course, gearing up heavily in 2022 on this affordable housing, the instruction as we started was that we are doing 200 units per constituency. And that is where we started. But over time, we have realized certain constituencies have higher demand than others. Of course, even within a county, you have several constituencies that some have high demand, others have low. So we work with the county governments in terms of determining the demand. We also, you can tell if it's a town, if it's a city, where there is more demand. But we've been working with counties in terms of identification of the land where these projects will be, and also sizing of the land. Sometimes you go to a project like Machakos. The president handed over Machakos last month. The first phase had 220 units, and the project is at Machakos, just within the slightly off CBD, basically about 5 minutes from the Machakos town itself, near the public works offices. And you can tell because it's within Machakos, of course you need to do more. So he did launch phase 2 of that particular project. So it's really dependent on where a project is located, and you work with the county governments to determine the size and where the project will be located, and also where public land is available or county government land is available.
Another quick question, sorry Mariam, just a quick one. You may have addressed it, but Kenyans, maybe it's anecdotally, maybe there's data, prefer to rent. Affordable housing is based on ownership. Is there a concrete plan for affordable rental units as opposed to ownership of the units?
For now, it's fully ownership because what we're trying to drive is home ownership. And of course, there is a lot of units out here for rental purposes. Our focus right now is on home ownership. Maybe over time that would be, but currently no.
Okay. A few questions around default, death, etc. Not Charles Ndungo, actually, this is Kipruto Koech. Good morning. What would happen in the case of default? What is the total cost, of the three categories? We already got into that. But yeah, what does happen in the case of default? And leaning on that as well, Hassan Haifan asks, in 30 years, a lot can happen. What if I die midway? What happens to my contribution and to the house?
Okay. So within our Act and regulations, issues of default are stipulated. How that will take place, the notices, you will get about 3 notices, all the way to within a time frame of about 2.5 months. 2.5 to 3 months. So you do get notices. We have administrators of the various projects. Of course, they are the ones that are able to follow through in terms of payments, and these are financial institutions who are procured, who are regulated, and who are procured through proper processes, and therefore they follow on the payments to the government, to the Affordable Housing Board. And in case of default, you're given time and you're given notices to ensure that you make good, and you're given the opportunity to come to us for us to restructure your payments. You also have the option of what we call change of unit. So if you realize that you probably applied for a unit and now you're unable to pay for it, you can actually downgrade. You apply for a change of unit to a smaller or a lesser value unit. You had a 3-bedroom, you can apply now for a 1-bedroom. We can be able to restructure your payments and you make good your payments.
Can you upgrade as well?
You can upgrade as well. You may have gotten a studio unit as a bachelor. Over time, your family has grown. You have a wife and 2 kids. You can upgrade to a 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom. So you make the same application for a change of unit on Boma Yangu platform.
And the eventuality of death, as Hassan
the eventuality of death. And that's why we factored mortgage insurance within. Of course, if you have purchased it fully, what is this process called? Whereby
the not transfer, but I know what you're talking about. It goes to your next of kin.
It goes to your next of kin, and
if it's fully purchased.
Succession.
Yes, succession. Thank you. Succession takes effect, of course, and that is within law. If you're still under the tenant purchase, so you're still paying monthly, within those monthly payments, we have factored what we call mortgage insurance. That means that if you have been consistent with your payments, and we've onboarded insurance companies through a procurement process, then that insurance is able to pay out your house to the board. And of course, within your application form, we do have you do indicate who's your next of kin and all that. But there's mortgage insurance. You just need to ensure that you're not missing out on your payments. You are consistent.
Okay.
So then it would go to your next of kin, and insurance would pay the difference.
Insurance will pay the difference, and then the succession follows. The succession processes follow.
Okay.
Yes.
What does the law say about defaulting? If I've taken a unit and I default, what does the law say?
The law says, as I was mentioning, we do have it's stipulated how many notices you will receive over which period of time, and thereafter then possession is taken back to the board. That is within our Affordable Housing Act and regulations.
And the money that I've already contributed by that point?
What happens is at that particular point, of course, we will look at what we need to deduct. The house has to be taken back to good order, and based on what we deduct, then you get the balance, if there is. If it is you have lived, it's basically like because that house needed to be paid for the particular period of time. It has to be made good to be able to be sold off. Remember, it's not rental, it has to be sold off to the next of kin. So those mathematics are done, those calculations are done, and then whatever is the balance gets back to you.
So there was a question about how many units one can get, and this is going by somebody who was saying, Nimeskia. There's already somebody who owns a block here, no? Or is it a floor?
A floor.
A floor here. Is that possible?
No, is what we call stories ajaba. You can only, it's one ID, one house. So each ID can only get one house.
In the country?
In the country.
If I choose
From
a
the
house
program.
in here in Mukuru, I
That's
cannot
it.
get another
From
house
the
in
program
Loitoktok.
right now, it's only one ID, one house. Maybe when we get to a point of saturation and every Kenyan has a house, then maybe at that point we'd open it up. But currently, one ID, one house. And you can select a housing unit, or you can apply for a housing unit anywhere within this country, as long as it's within your income category. So I can be in Nairobi and I feel I want a house in Kakamega. I can buy it there, you know. Irrespective of where you are, irrespective of where you come from, your home county and all that, you can buy a house anywhere in the country.
One ID, one house. If it's me, if my husband has his ID, my sister, bora tu,
Uko na ID.
we figure
As
out
long
how
as
to do it
it's
as
ID.
okay.
Yes.
That's an important
Yes.
emphasis to make. Yeah.
So Grace is asking, what if I want to buy a one-bedroom or a studio for my children? Is that allowed?
Yes, it is allowed.
It's your ID.
You can do that. Because either do your kids have IDs, you can buy yourself with your ID, or if your child has an ID, they can apply and you make the payments. That is allowed.
So
but I can't.
only as long as if I already had bought a house and I wanted to buy another one for my child, that child must be above 18.
Yes,
Yeah.
because
I cannot
you-
buy
your
for
ID
a child who
Yes.
child is alive and the government of Kenya knows has registered this child.
But remember,
I'm
your
just
ID
planning
has
for their
already,
future.
already used up your one ID.
Can you? Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
All right. I shortly will be letting you go, Sheila, and thank you for joining us and having this conversation
Thank
with
you
us
very much.
and explaining everything that is going on with this affordable housing program. One of the other burning issues has been why sell the houses. So yeah, the government is pushing for everybody to own, but why sell the houses? Why not give, for example, the social houses, give them for free to people who you've already identified fit in this category?
You know, various government
Or even
entities.
rent them for a very subsidized price.
Yes.
Affordable housing.
All government entities and even other entities have their mandates, and you stick within what you're trying, the gap that you're trying to fill. So you do have, even county governments have social housing projects where they build to rent out to their city, to their county residents and workers and so on. We know even here in Nairobi County, we know all the government houses that have been done, or county government houses that are being done. But for this particular program, the agenda or the main mandate of this particular program and the board itself is to ensure that we are increasing mortgages and home ownership, and that's why it is fully to sell. So the only instance we know we might end up renting is whereby we have stock that has not been sold. So instead of the houses remaining vacant for a period of time, then we might open them up for rentals. It's a direction we are looking at. We are not yet there, but that may be the only instance. And when it gets a buyer, then it is sold out. Yes.
Okay, then maybe we can go further in this by explaining what's the benefit of home ownership. Why are you insisting that I own a home? Nimekuambia nataka kununua nyumba.
Unajua lati,
Again, silali nje.
Yeah.
you know, the thing that you might forget is that it is voluntary. You choose you want a house or you want to rent. So by the time you're coming to us, you're coming because you want that home. And remember, there is a lot of security. Even for the people who rent, as I mentioned, it's because one,
But
they
the
can't
levy
be able to
isn't.
afford.
The levy isn't.
The levy isn't.
Yeah, the levy
And
is
that's
mandatory.
Why I tell Kenyans, if you're being deducted the levy, please make sure you get to benefit from this program. You know, usikatwe pesa na huja apply nyumba. Make sure you do.
You know, that would hit harder if the tax was a contribution towards owning the house. But as it stands, there's no correlation between the two.
Incentive.
So, yeah, there's no incentive for me to feel like, I'm paying the tax, let me apply for a house. I'll still pay the tax whether I get a house or not.
There's no reason why you need to apply for a house.
It's actually the other way around.
Tax should be incentive enough. It's like, because you're already being taxed,
Yes,
you
and
might as well.
considering that you may not be able to get a house on these terms anywhere in this Nairobi, or anywhere in this country. So make sure you apply for a house. Usikatwe tax na hauna nyumba.
Back to the question of the cost of the units. You're releasing this 4,536 units here next week. I just want to insist. You said before December. It's next week.
For end of December, yes.
Yeah. So, what are the units and how much?
Okay. So the units are 4,536 in number. The units are studio, or what commonly is known as bed sitters, 20 square meters. These units have, they're self-contained in terms of they have the washroom facilities inside. They are served with water, electricity, the normal services, water, electricity. You do get Wi-Fi, affordable Wi-Fi. They have gas reticulated to your units at very affordable rates. Prepaid, if you have 50 bob, you can be able to cook. You don't have to get a full cylinder of 2,000 shillings, 2,900 Kenya shillings. You pay you purchase the house either cash outright, or you pay on TPS, whereby you pay 3,900 Kenya shillings per month. That includes service charge and mortgage insurance. The cost of the house is 640,000 Kenya shillings in totality. You'll be able to see, I think, if you get a chance to walk around in the first phase, you will see they have adequate spacing, they have a lot of natural lighting, they have spaces where children can play, a lot of greenery as well. Within this particular project, we have schools, we have an ECD, there's a primary school that will be built here. We do have hospital facilities that are almost completed and will be expanded to a level 4 hospital. There is a fire station within the estate. There is a police station within the estate. There are commercial centers within the estate. Right now, just in front of me, there are about 45 stalls, commercial spaces that have been let out to residents of this particular phase 1. There's a shopping mall that is near completion also within the particular estate. You can see the roads, well-carved roads, adequate parking spaces. So it's a beautiful project. So please take the opportunity to make your application. Today is Wednesday. By Saturday, let's have your application. What you're required to have is a copy of your ID, a copy of your KRA PIN, a valid tax compliance certificate, passport photo, and certified 6-month statements as proof of income, either of your bank statement, your M-Pesa statement, a SACCO statement, or your pay slip for 6 months.
Okay. Thank you very much. We've been hosting Sheila Waweru, CEO of Affordable Housing Board. That's almost like the overview. Now we get into the practical. What does it look like to be part of this community? We'll be having a baraza in just a moment. We'll also be joined by Charles Singer, PS Department, Affordable Housing and Urban Development. We'll continue with that conversation up until 10 a.m. and continue to get your views on it as well. It's coming up to 8:30. We'll take a short break and be back with that microground.